helping negotiate peace between, I guess, what, the FNLN and the government, whoever that is. Anyway.
So who's that? Who's that, buddy?
His name is Armando Villarreal.
And is he like a photographer, or
No, he was just somehow or another. That was he does a lot of consultation and political consultation. So he got involved somehow or another. He wound up in El Salvador, out in the middle of the jungle where they were negotiating the talks, and she actually was like a guard, one of the guards, guarda espalda, he called her.
So this is during the peace accords?
Mm-hmm. And so he just happened to take a photograph of her and various other photos of other people there. But so I found it very interesting that she was there with this M16 that's probably the size she is, and she's got fatigues and combat boots, and then she's got a blouse, embroidered blouse, a native embroidered blouse, which I thought was pretty interesting. So he let me borrow it. I think I still have it. I haven't returned it. Anyway, and so I just started. I had it for a long time, and then I just started working with it. I started. I did a Photoshop thing on it and enlarged it and cropped it, and then I just started doing this series. And it started off with the Guerrillera 1, which was for the Serie print project. And then I also used it on all these others. So it started a whole series of them.
So that was the first one?
The Guerrillera, right.
The one that's in the city?
In the Serie project, right. That's the first one. And then I started experimenting with these. And these others came out in an exhibit in Washington called Mirrors, Espejos. It was a bilingual thing with artists from Latin America and the United States. That was curated by se me olvida Eduardo, somebody another from Mexico. I've got the book in the studio. Okay. At any rate, that's where that Guerrillera thing started, and I just kept doing it. I think there are always.
How many?
I think there's like eight different images, including, and these larger images were all done sort of monoprints because they had different backgrounds, and I've sold a bunch of those other ones. I had one with like that other piece that you saw with the green background.
Yeah.
I had one with a red background that was actually with her on it, and then I have another one. Well, that one that you see there with the sort of faux leather sort of look to it, which I thought was interesting because it also reminds me of these paintings from Mexico and Central America that they do on cork, or what is that, bark?
Okay.
You know, so it kind of simulates that.
And then some of them have lipsticks and like.
Yeah, the lipstick is the whole idea behind the fact that these women are fighting more. I mean, it's been going on since the Mexican Revolution when women used to fight alongside men. But especially in Latin America and other third world countries where women become involved, they're actually part of the infantry and soldiers. So a woman in battle doesn't have time for lipstick. That vanity thing there's no time for that.
And how do you associate it with the Virgen de Guadalupe?
Well, it just kind of, the lipstick sort of is a twofold thing. It's sort of a phallic symbol, as well as it all of a sudden reminded me of the Virgin of Guadalupe, the Virgen, and then I put the little icons of the Guerrillera around. So it's kind of all involved in religion and war and sex and all those things all rolled into one. Which I'm assuming there's a lot of sex going on in the third world countries when these young ladies are involved in. I mean, like in the Mexican Revolution, these ladies would follow along with the army, and then their lover or wife or husband would get killed, and so then they take on another suitor and continue this whole thing. And I think that kind of, you can't separate those things.
And do you think it's like a feminist statement?
I don't know. I mean, negative or positive?
No,
If it's feminist, if it's identified as feminist, it's
Yeah, I
somewhat
mean,
positive.
I'm not talking about.
Like, is it empowering to women?
Well, I think it is. I mean, you know, now basically now what's going on? Most armies in the world have women participants, in the United States including.
Right, they're
Which is very
helping
reluctant.
helping
but-
create the national identity. The
Right.
fact that their role is in that, that's a
But,
huge feminist statement.
except, I don't know, in classical times, like the Greeks, Spartans, I don't think they involved women. But women were very part because they were the ones that nurtured and, well, they were the ones that had the babies and they nurtured them and then they would go, they would take care of these warriors. And so that whole idea of warrior attitude and how important women played is very, and that's, I think, all involved in that series. And you can see some of the, I don't know, but in that particular series, that was I thought was important.
Okay. And you haven't continued it since. It was like from, when did you do that?
Well, the first one, I don't know, was Serie
Was it
6 or
2000s?
was it? Whatever the first series, I don't know if it's in there. The first Guerrillera.
No, it's in our flat files. I think that was in 2001.
2000. Yeah,
2000.
Yeah, I think so.
It's around that.
Yeah.
So it was around there.
Series
It went
6 or
on to-
8.
I don't even know what year, if I put a year on this one.
Well, if your friend was there during the peace accords,
No,
that
well, this
image-
was, but yeah, that was back in the 70s.
that-
Oops,
no,
I'm sorry.
no, no.
Sorry.
The image was taken in the 90s.
No,
actually.
no.
No?
I don't think so. When were the peace accords done? I thought it
92?
Was it? Then that's when it was done. Oh,
Um,
that was done in the 70s, but I guess no, it was in the 90s then.
yeah. And see, it looks like you're trying to give it like a vintage look.
Yeah, because, and that is screen printing, but it looks a lot like it was, the technique we used made it look like it's a lithograph, actually. It's very hard to
Yeah.
get that effect on screen printing. Usually screen prints are looking very flat, but this was very translucent and layering, sort of.
And this is like, I mean, this is kind of the image of the Virgen.
Exactly. With, yeah, so there's still
Is that
another
the
play.
what seal is that?
Which
Is that
one?
our seal?
Mm-hmm.
U.S.
Which, yeah, that's the unit. That's
So is that a political statement?
exactly. And, it seems like the United States is always funding the wrong side, and yet the people generally always win out. Look at Vietnam. There are a few areas that look at all the Middle Eastern countries now that are in turmoil.
And then in this one, you make the bullets into lipstick.
Well, no, yeah, but it's upside down. Again, everything is not right side up in war. Everything is confusing. And everything is helter-skelter.
Have you ever published these, or have they?
In what way?
Like, have they been published in a book?
Yeah.
Yes, I think they have.
I think so.
And
I
one
think
of
I've
those-
seen them.
Color
And one of
books?
those,
Yeah,
they're in
one
the
of those
store.
color
We can
books, I
look.
And
Oh, you
that's,
have some?
I have the color books.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave me the color book.
A donation. Beautiful.
And what about the palette? They all kind of have the similar.
Right, very, very militaristic.
Like
very
fatigue
raw,
look.
Very army drab sort of colors.
Yeah.
Those were different. Those are, I wanted to say, the same life and death in terms of war. So red, symbolizing the blood.
Okay, this is like new. That's always been one of my favorite series, so I think I'm going to focus on that for the lecture. I did some migration things. These were done in their
late 80s, early 90s, I think it was late 80s.